Need for Speed Heat update has been announced! Yes! Woo! It includes what? Today we're back on Need for Speed Heat. We're talking about what is coming in this update. So a new update has been announced, and quite frankly, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I'm, one side, very happy that an update is finally coming to the game. It's needed an update for a little while, and it's continuously going to need an update when this update releases. Let's get this update details out of the way. There's some interesting things being added. I'm quite excited to try some of these things, and a perfect reason they keep saying is to now use my wheel rig. That's right, wheel support is coming back to Need for Speed, which is good because it was available in the last game as an update, and it was also in the last game as an update. But it does seem that when they change the handling model quite significantly, like they have over the past few games, they need to redo how the wheel support is going to work. But I am very interested to see how the wheel is going to work. Obviously, in some games you have quite a big advantage about using a wheel, but will that be the case with Need for Speed? Because it is, quite frankly, a very arcade controller-based game. So if you've got a Thrustmaster or a Logitech or whatever, your wheel will work. But if you have any others, they're saying that they may work, but they're not really listing support. But they've got a whole bunch of Thrustmasters and a whole bunch of Logitechs. Well, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. The chat wheel. Okay, interesting one. Very interesting indeed. So you remember on Need for Speed Payback, there was the chat emotes that you could use to interact with other players, and they're actually, quite honestly, very useful. I actually really like them for starting drag races. A lot of people use them on the strip for drag races, and it's a good way to get that interaction rolling because realistically, most people don't talk over microphone on games. They use Discord or something. This time we get text chat options, which is very much like Forza Horizon 4. But I'm going to be completely honest, I kind of wish it was a combination of the two. Text is great. I'm very happy that that's a thing. But at the same time, I would kind of like to see some race starting stuff. Obviously, we've got the horns, which we can use. But it was nice to have the go and the police ones. A few other ones were very nice. I hope to see those return in the future. Just for communication in terms of starting an event or starting an impromptu event with some random person, I think it's a better way than text. And also, what happens when it's like a different language? Yeah, emotes kind of make more sense to me. Keys to the map, yes! I am now DJ Khaled, the collector of many keys. Basically, there's going to be a map unlock option. Now, I'm actually quite interested about this because of one particular reason. This is the first bit of paid content. It's not really content. Paid stuff for Need for Speed Heat. Now, of course, there wasn't any DLC planned or anything for this game. They were mentioning that they mentioned this at E3 that there will, sorry, at Gamescom, it was at Gamescom, that there's going to be paid stuff, including this pack, and also there's going to be car packs. Now, this update file, this update list of things they gave us during this, in this Under the Hood, it tells us that there's going to be that pack, which should only mean, surely, we're going to see a little bit more very soon. In the last game, those microtransactions helped fund the updates. This game, they said, no microtransactions, it's not happening, and they decided to do it through the DLC car method. Hopefully, we'll see. The keys to the map will pretty much show you where everything is on the map. I don't think it's really necessary. It's really not. But if you're a new player, you're jumping into the game, it's a great buy if you want to accelerate your progression to unlocking everything on the map, including all of the collectibles, all of the activities, all of the garages, all that kind of stuff, all the gas stations, so you can teleport all over the place from the beginning. It's easy, really. Stops you exploring. But I'm more of an exploring man. But I've already done it all. Twice over. Finally, we got the quality of life improvements, which are pretty much just little bits here and there. For example, when you jump out of the garage with manual transmission, you may remember, if you press the button, the shift button is the exact same as going back in the garage. Very big oversight, to be honest with you. It shows you that it's very much meant to be a game that's played in automatic. At least that's how they play tested it. Now, in terms of repairing your vehicles, you now have a nice it will refresh with your paint, so it won't have the swirl marks all over it when you actually repair your car, which is also very nice. But that's the end of the list. Which, here's the thing. As I said in my previous video, I made a video about talking about when is a Need for Speed update coming out. And I expected it to be the end of January. I predicted 31st of January. It's coming out on the 28th. Now, the reason I predicted this, it would be in line with everyone else's updates, And when I was doing that, I was like, oh, you know, first updates in most games are planned updates. They already have these ideas locked down. This is what they're going to do. They release it. For example, in Forza, we had the route creator, which was something that was planned to launch, but they delayed it. It wasn't finished. And then after that, it was more stuff that they planned before. And the same with the Crew 2. The Gator Rush expansion was already planned. The next expansion wasn't really planned because obviously they had to build it from scratch because people weren't happy with the Gator Rush expansion. There's a few interesting ways we can now take this information that we've got and really calculate what's going on here. It would seem that Need for Speed was, at least out of the gate, released with no solidified plans as to what to do for future content updates. And so what they've done for the first update, which seems like realistically this should have been the update that we got last time, which was doing some bug fixes and the like, which allowed some people to replay the game again, which, yeah, you'd think this update would have something of significance. Now, in my mind, one thing that would have been okay for me, I've already spoken about this in the past, speedless. I couldn't really care less about speedless, but I know a few people, quite a few people, would like to try speedless and play speedless on this game. It'll give them reason to jump back into the game. Now, you would think that if they planned for speedless to come back, it would be in this first proper update. No, it's not. Now, here's the thing for me. If they now reintroduce speedless in 1 or 2 updates time, and it is the exact same as it is in the previous game, I think that's a little bit silly, right? You'd hope that it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be the exact same, or the bang in events. It may be going to be like my idea of you drive to the events, or it's some other new way of doing it. If it's the exact same, that's a little bit silly in my opinion. So one of the little paths I wanted to take on this is to kind of try and figure out as to why this has happened. Now, of course, we know the general idea that it seems like they spent all the development time working on the core game and releasing as much as they can, but it almost seems like that's kind of somewhat a disadvantage nowadays. You need to have some more time to get ahead on what's coming in updates, and quite frankly, that's what everyone else is doing, and that's why the updates came out quickly on the other games. So, in the time that the Crew 2 has released the Gator Rush expansion, which was planned, and they started a little bit of work on beforehand, probably, and then finished within 3 months. By the time this update came out for Need for Speed, they had, I know, although short, they had a bit of a progression, a bit of a story, a couple of characters, new vehicles, new physics. Like, to me, that's one of the reasons to why I think this update has kind of taken so long. It wasn't planned. They almost didn't have an idea of what they really wanted to do. And I think the other side of it is, yes, it's a new generation about to happen. We're about to jump into the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox. So all hands on deck are surely learning this new system. Now, of course, for anyone that knows how these work, these systems are x86 architecture, which means writing a game for the PlayStation 4 means it will probably work on the PS5 and Xbox One, work on the Xbox Series X or whatever it is. So in my mind, surely it wouldn't be massive amounts of people going, all right, you know, drop everything, we've got to learn this new hardware, because quite frankly, it's going to be pretty much identical, except with a couple new features, depending on what the console introduces. Now, the only issues I see is it takes a little bit longer development time to make the scale textures and make the world work on both consoles, because obviously that's something that Need for Speed has to do. The next Need for Speed will be on the PS5 and PS4, and that's going to be the case for the next probably 2 games. That, to me, is the only excuse I can come up with as to why this is happening. But at the same time, is that an excuse enough? Is that going to give me hope as a player buying the next Need for Speed? I don't know. It's a very rocky one, and it feels like, to me, next generation, if they do not sort this out and get an update out a couple months after launch, 2 months after launch, I think there's going to be some issues at hand. And I know it sounds like I'm moaning saying that, but this is me being a fan, you know? To finalize this, there is promise of new cars. Now, not in this update. They're promising that they're working on an update that's going to bring new cars, but they also don't say when, but it's in the works. So let's say a couple of months maybe. Which again, is a bit of a long time. I don't really get anything from this update. Of course, I've got the wheel support, which is pretty good. I've got some quality of life stuff, which there's going to be a whole bunch of them, I imagine, of bug fixes and the like, in the list that's going to be on the changelog on Tuesday. But wheel support, I can play with my wheel for a little bit, but then there's not really anything else other than that for me. At least I can tell someone hello. But anyway, that's my thoughts on this update. It's a nice foundation update. I imagine with the ability to purchase an in-game pack, that being the keys to the map, I think that's a good step in the direction of surely they're going to have unlockable cars through purchases soon. So that's going to mean hopefully some DLC cars, testing the waters, getting it going, the basics. But they already know how to do this. They've already got the pre-ordered car packs, I guess. So listen. There's some things in this update for me, not very many. I'm going to give it a go. It's going to be an excuse to buy all my Elgato stuff to set up my wheel rig properly once and for all so we can do some wheel stuff on the new update. But other than that, that's pretty much all there is to talk about for this update. It's a foundation update, to say the very least. Hopefully you did enjoy. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this update. I would love to know your opinions on it, but I am very much looking forward to play with a wheel. But again, hopefully we get some new races or something sometime very soon. Be sure to smash the like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next Need for Speed video. Until next time, peace.